Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to talk about Mega Sharpedo EX and how it's apparently good and winning over in Japan. Awesome! I've seen a few lists for this popping up here and there, but now it's time we actually sit down, have a dig through, have a look, and try and figure out how good Mega Sharpedo EX can really be. Sound like a plan? Excellent. So what we've got here is a stage 1 that for a single energy does 70 damage and draws 2 cards. Now, this is really good in the early game and is good for finishing things off. Anytime you can get a KO with this attack, you definitely want to. Being able to take a prize while drawing cards is clearly awesome. So if you're against a 70 HP basic, and remember, you are often going to be against 70 HP basics, things like Buddy Buddy Poffin have conditioned us that, you know what, 70 HP is, it's the best amount of HP right now for basics. It's the highest amount of HP you can have while still being searchable with Buddy Buddy Poffin. It's brilliant. We like it. So against evolving Pokemon, support Pokemon, or anything that's got a bunch of damage on that you can just finish off, do 70, draw 2, absolutely brilliant, huge fan. It's just not always going to work. Sometimes this is going to fall a little bit short, and you're not going to be able to do what you need to with just 70 damage, which is where the other attack comes in. The other attack, what we've got here is 2 energy, 120 damage, but if this Pokemon's got any damage on whatsoever, then you deal 270 instead. For 2 energy on a stage 1. Which I think sounds pretty gosh darn good personally. I don't know about you guys, but that sounds pretty good. And that's the basics of the deck. You got a stage 1, which is not that hard to get rolling. Single energy, 70 damage, and you draw cards. 2 energy, and you're hopefully doing 270. And you can pretty much always guarantee this. I mean, firstly, Carvana here, actually super useful. Single energy 30, and it does 10 to itself. It's good for taking out the baby Pokemon, the tiny 30 HP ones. Things like Badoo and Joltik. And there's a few others as well that are genuinely seeing significant play right now. So you've got an answer against them, but you also self-damage. So then when you evolve up, you've already got that 10 damage on. You're ready to go. Jobs are good 'un. But we've also got Toxtricity. And Toxtricity here is frankly, well, it's redonkulous. Like, it's redonkulous in every Darkness deck, but in this Darkness deck it is particularly good. The ability says that once during your turn, you may attach a basic Darkness energy from your deck to one of your bench Darkness Pokemon, and then if you do, you got to put 2 damage counters on them. Well, that's good. Partly because we should only ever need to accelerate 1 energy to Sharpedo. It's a 2 energy attack, so 1 from your hand, 1 from Toxtricity sorted. But also because you take damage when you do so, and oh look, now you've got what you need for that second attack. Toxtricity just makes Sharpedo work so nicely here, both by accelerating energy and then allowing you to do the extra damage. Jobs are good 'em. Now, we're actually playing a free line here because we want options for accelerating energy all over the board. However, you only ever need 1 for Sharpedo, and that's quite nice. What else have we got in terms of Pokemon? Obviously, we got a couple Munkidori. Munkidori is a phenomenal card. It's one of the best cards in the game. If there's a Darkness energy attached to it, you get to move 3 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponents. Now, it's worth noting that Toxtricity can only attach to benched Darkness Pokemon. You cannot attach to Munkidori. But essentially what you do is you use Toxtricity for accelerating all your Darkness energy to your attackers, hence why we play a free line. And then your attachment for the turn just goes on to Munkidori whenever you need to, so you can then start moving the damage off. And of course, anytime you are accelerating energy with Toxtricity and leaving too much damage on the Pokemon, move it off with Munkidori. And honestly, one of the biggest issues with Munkidori is making sure you've got a pool of damage on the board that you can throw to your opponent's side. Well, wonderful news. Toxtricity is going to make sure you've got that pool of damage. You're good, ladies and gentlemen. You're good. And then we got a couple of Pecharunt, because Pecharunt's kind of good. We've got the attacking Pecharunt, the EX, the one that came around in Shrouded Fable. It's got a really nice ability that switches one of your bench Darkness Pokemon when you're active, and the new active is now poisoned. Or for 2 energy, 60 damage for each prize card your opponent's taken. So if they've taken like 5 prize cards, you're doing 300 damage. This is very good. Worth noting, we're also playing Binding Mochi here. Binding Mochi lets you do an extra 40 damage if you're poisoned. So the goal here is not just to use this as an option to switch, although it is a great option to switch, but it can be combined with Binding Mochi to make sure that you're getting that extra damage. So for instance, Sharpedo, now you're hitting 310 rather than 270. That's a pretty big difference. And then we've got the other Pecharunt, the promo Pecharunt, the single prize Pecharunt. This one's got an ability that says when your opponent's poisoned, you put 5 more damage on them during Pokemon Checkup if this Pecharunt is active. And then the attack for 2 energy does 10 damage plus poison and they can't retreat. A lot of the time, you don't want to use this Pecharunt as an attacker. You really want some other way to get the poison on, and then this Pecharunt is mostly just used for adding to the poison. But because you've got Toxtricity to accelerate energy here, you legitimately can use this as an attacker. And of course, with poison, you're doing 6 damage counters between turns. But then you've got potential for using Binding Mochi here. And then all of a sudden, you're doing like 110. 60 for poison plus 50. But then, of course, is an extra 60 every time Pokemon Checkup happens. And they can't retreat out of it. I'm just saying, this one is going to have some options. And one more option we've got here is we've got a single copy of Seviper. And Seviper actually in this deck works really rather nicely. What we got from Seviper is free energy. You deal 120 damage, which is a bit meh. Sure, you can get the energy on with Toxtricity, but it's still a bit rubbish. But if you have, this is what the ability says, a Darkness-type Mega Pokemon EX in play, you deal 120 more. So now all of a sudden it's free energy 240, and sure, you've got to have a Mega Sharpedo in play, but you would like to think at this point you would have a Mega Sharpedo in play, and actually, this works kind of beautifully. It's got fairly low HP as a single prize Pokemon, and you're going to need to accelerate at least 2 energy with Toxtricity. There's plenty of issues as to why you don't want it to be your every turn attacker, but as an option as a single prize Pokemon to weave in, oh, I like this very much indeed. Oh, and then there's a Tatsugiri here. It searches out supporter cards. It's quite nice for searching out supporter cards, but yeah, that's where we go. And because we've got switching in with Pecharunt, that does make Tatsugiri just that little bit easier to use. So it's largely a Sharpedo deck here. That's largely where we're going. We've got drawing options and we've got big damage options. And then we've got some other tricks when we might need them, which is cool. What else are we rocking with here? Well, in terms of trainer cards, there's just a lot of what you would expect here. The trainer line is actually pretty standard. We do have Hero's Cape as your A-spec of choice. I'm not sure this is a deck that has an absolute guaranteed must-play this A-spec. I think Hero's Cape is fine. I think it works very nicely. Gives you extra 100 HP. You're already rocking 330 as a Mega EX on a stage 1. So putting this up to 430 with Hero's Cape, yeah, it works. Again, I think there's other options you can go for here, but this is quite nice. And of course, I already mentioned Binding Mochi a couple of times. That is in the deck, and that's giving extra damage when poisoned. But with Pecharunt, you're going to be able to poison yourself basically whenever you like. So I don't think we need to worry too much here. This is going to be a very nice card. And then, of course, because we're playing some tools here that we really want to be taking advantage of, Town Store comes in as a stadium we want to use. Oh, and the other stadium we got here is Gravity Mountain. Reduces Stage 2 Pokemon by 30 HP. Well, you're not using Stage 2s. You've got good damage here, but you're still not hitting phenomenal damage. There are other decks that are hitting more. Stage 2s you might still struggle with a little bit. even with stuff like Binding Mochi when they're megas. So having this coming in as an option to reduce their HP and get KOs you wouldn't otherwise be getting, that sounds like a nice plan to me. It's just hurting your opponent, and that's kind of a win. And I should really shout out Professor Turo's scenario here before we finish. That lets you put a Pokemon in play into your hand, and you've got to discard all cards attached to it, but you're playing a 330 HP Mega EX, and you've got great energy acceleration. So if you're ever thinking, oh no, I'm about to be KO'd, just use Professor Turo. Pick it up. Oh, wonderful. Now you're not being KO'd anymore. Job's a good un. The only thing you're really worried about here is losing your hero's cape. And that's if the hero's cape's on there. You've only got one, remember. But if it's a choice between losing your hero's cape or giving up free prizes, I know which choice I'm going to make. Here's a deck list as a whole, and this is a deck I really quite like. It is in some ways a very straightforward deck. I love that we've got Survivor here as a single prize option. I love that we've got Petulant for switching in and that one big beat stick at the end. I love that we've got the other Petulant for stopping and retreating while letting the poison build up. There is a lot of fun to be had here. But I've told you all about it now, so now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about all of this in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely Stegaraptor, who's been a supporter of ours for a long time now and seems to be a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.